And now for the Greek. So we're in Acts chapter 20, verse 7, where Paul and Luke, if that's who the author is, have left Philippi and they've come to Troas, which is in the north. Now I've gone ahead and taken a picture from Wikipedia. This is Asia Minor, of course, modern day Turkey. Philippi is up here. And so they've sailed down here to Troas, and this is where they are when we meet our heroes in verse 7. Now, on the one of the Sabbaths. Now, what in the world is that? On the first of the Sabbaths? Well, basically, it's usually translated on the first day of the week. In other words, on Sunday. Now, I did hear once of a very, very clever Greek professor who suggested that this expression was switching the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, because this expression is used in the Gospels of the day of resurrection, on the first of the Sabbaths. And so a very, very clever, ingenious idea that perhaps this expression was meant to say, and now the Sabbath is on Sunday, the first of the Sabbaths. That's ingenious, but it is a great example of trying to justify your traditions with very great intelligence. This is an expression that simply means on the first day of the week. So if there are 7 days of the week, then Sunday is the first of Sabbaths, and Monday is the second of Sabbaths, and Tuesday, is the third of Sabbaths, and then Saturday then is the Sabbath of Sabbaths, or the seventh of Sabbaths. Okay, well, anyway, so I don't think it has anything to do with transferring the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. But it's on the first day of the week, which of course is when the early Christians came together. No offense to Seventh-day Adventists, but the most objective reading of the evidence suggests that the Lord's Day was on Sunday. And so in the book of Revelation, when John is in the Spirit on the Lord's Day, that's on a Sunday, because that's Resurrection Day. On Sunday is when Christians come together to remember that Jesus rose from the dead, and to break bread together, to have the Lord's Supper together, to have the love feast together, which of course was a meal. Okay, so on the first day of the week, we, having come together to break bread, so it's going to go we all the way to Rome, right? Luke, the author, or whoever the author of Acts is now with them. Of course, there have been some, I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, which is probably just as well, but there is a scholar that argues that this is a novelistic feature, that the author really wasn't with Paul. He's just putting himself into the story as a kind of novelistic feature to make it sound vivid. Now, I've never been convinced with that, but let's keep going. So this is a genitive absolute, a pronoun in the genitive and a participle. What kind of a participle is this? Well, sunago is buried somewhere in there. Notice that the ending is shoved right onto the stem, which tells me this is perfect, middle or passive. I'm going to go with, I don't know what I'm going to go with. I guess I'm going to go with middle because we gathered together to break bread makes sense. Men are passive or middle participles. I knew that already because it was shoved on the stem. So this is a perfect, say, middle participle, genitive masculine plural from sunago. We, having gathered together and still together to break bread, Paul was talking to them. He was discussing to them. He was dialoguing with them. Imperfect of dialego. About to go out on the morrow. So this is exhiemi, which means to go out. It's an infinitive, obviously. The iota is there, and so it's present infinitive, present active infinitive. Because with me verbs, the iota goes away in the aorist. So the fact that the iota is there tells me this is a present infinitive. He was continuing the word until midnight, mesonoction, the middle of the night, midnight. And so this parateno, I assume it is. So this would be imperfect. There's the augment, parateno, the letters of the present stem are there. Imperfect active indicative third singular. N is a third singular. Verse 8, and there were many lamps in the upper room. It's a third story, by the way. We're going to find out in a second. This is the imperfect of ami. Where, who can mean where we were gathered. This is the same form, isn't it? It's not the same form exactly, but it is also the perfect middle participle. This time it's nominative masculine plural. Periphrastic, right? Form of the verb to be and a participle. We were having been gathered, where we had gathered. Imperfect. Verse 9, and sitting a certain young man, Eutychus by name, upon the window. This is kathedzomai. Interesting. Wasn't the word I thought it was, but you can see it's like kathemai. It's in the ballpark. It means to sit, right? It is a present kathidzo. Cathedzo. Yeah, it must be a cathedzo. I'm not going to look it up. You look it up. So it's a present deponent participle, nominative masculine singular. Certain young man sitting there, Eutychus by name, upon the window, being overcome by deep sleep, bathe hypno, hypnotism, by deep sleep, being overcome. So this is present, kataphero. It's passive participle, being overcome, nominative masculine singular. Paul discussing another genitive absolute. Boy, Luke likes genitive absolutes, doesn't he? Noun in the genitive, a participle in the genitive. This is a present participle, genitive masculine singular. Paul dialoguing still more. He keeps going. He's like a ever-ready battery, still going. Having been overcome by the sleep, so this is a aorist passive because of the theta epsilon participle, nominative masculine singular. He fell from the third story down and was taken up dead. Epicen is the irregular aorist of pipto. I've just memorized it. It is an aorist active indicative third singular. This is iro, to take up. Again, the theta eta indicates it's aorist passive. There's the augment. So aorist passive indicative third singular from iro. Verse 10, and having gone down, Paul fell upon him and embraced him, and embracing and having embraced him said. Okay, so this is an aorist participle, katabino. This is an aorist participle, epipipto. This is an aorist participle, sum perilambano. They're all nominative masculine singular because they're talking about Paul going down, having embraced him. And then this is a finite verb, aorist active indicative third singular because of the sen, right? And here's a quote. Here's what Paul said, aping an aorist. Do not be troubled, which is a prohibition, right? May with a present imperative. Do not be troubled. This is thorobeomai, I think. So it's had a bit of a crash. It's deponent. But it's may with present imperative, which is a prohibition, one of the ways to make a prohibition. For the life of him in him is. I think the text implies that he's risen from the dead because he's dead up here, right? So Paul basically, by the power of the Holy Spirit, raises him from the dead. Notice the word here, soul, psuche, probably is best translated as life here. Verse 11, and having gone back up and having broken bread and having tasted and for a sufficient time having homilied until the dawn. I don't think he just said, it's okay, he's still alive, I'm going to go back and finish preaching. I mean, I assume that there was an appropriate amount of time given to his recitation or rising from the dead. We have here, again, anabino, klao, guomai, I think it is. And then here, hamalao. These are all aorists. This is an aorist participle. This is an aorist participle. This is an aorist participle. And this is an aorist participle. Sigma alpha, sigma alpha, sigma alpha, irregular second aorist of bino. Okay. Okay. So thus he went out. This is urkamai, ex urkamai. And they led the child, the young man, alive. So agagagagag is aorist, okay, the aorist of ago. They led the child, the boy, living, present participle. And they were encouraged not moderately. Again, theta eta is aorist passive. third person plural. Aorist passive indicative, third plural from parakaleo, to encourage, to be in here. They were encouraged, not moderately. Okay. And it keeps going. And we, having gone forward, so this is pro-erchomai, having gone forward into the boat, we sailed upon the Assos, which is a city. Let me explain. That didn't sound quite good, did it? So Assos is right here. So Luke and the others, they sail down this way. As we're going to see, Paul goes across land. I've driven this here. This is quite a bit mountainous here. So I'm not sure that Paul made a good choice. I don't know whether he was afraid of the sailing or what. He's going to sail some yet to come. But so Luke and they sail around to here, and Paul goes across land. And we, having gone forward into the boat, we sailed upon Assos. This is a theta eta, so it's aorist passive. You're right. Aorist passive indicative first plural from anago, to sail. And they're going to receive the Paul. So this is present, analambano. That's an infinitive, present active infinitive. This is a present active participle. For thus, having commanded, he was about himself to go by foot. So this is a reduplication there. So this is a perfect passive participle ending shoved right on the stem from diatasso. This is a paraphrastic, but I think it goes with this, not this. He was about himself to sail, present active infinitive, imperfect of me. Verse 14. And as he met up with us at Assos, notice both of the lambdas are there. So this is sumbalo. It's imperfect because it's the present stem with an augment. And as he was meeting us at Assos, having received him, we came into Mytilene. So again, it's labing you in aorist. This is analambano, which we saw up here. But this is to be receiving, present tense, present infinitive. And this is having received, aorist tense. Elf is aorist of erchomai into Mytilene. So where are we here? So they went by sea to Assos. Paul went across land. Then they sailed to Mytilene, which I assume is probably maybe smoother waters than out here, I'm guessing. And then they're going to keep going down here to, I think it's Chios is where they go next. They go here. And then they go to Samos, and then they go to Mytilene. So they go south of Ephesus. Okay, so verse 15. And there, this is a Crassus, Chi Acathan, and there, having sailed away on the morrow, we arrived across Chios. Okay, so they arrive across Chios. So maybe they're over here, across from Chios. So this is aorist because of the sigma alpha. My aunt is an active participle, so it's an aorist active participle. They having sailed away on the morrow, we met across Chios. There's a sigma alpha. It's aorist, first person plural there. And on a different day, we came alongside Samos. We cast alongside. So again, where's Samos? Samos is right here. So they're casting alongside. They either went this way, which looks like it would be easier, but they kind of stayed within sight of the coastline so that they didn't wander off, into waters they didn't want to do. So it's quite possible, that they're just kind of slowly following the land here, and just kind of they may have gone this way until they finally come down to Miletus. And on the next day, we came into Miletus. There you have it. We're finally at Miletus. This is echo. It's a present middle participle, dative feminine singular. Okay. And then verse 16. For Paul had judged to sail past Ephesus. Miletus, again, is past Ephesus, in order that it might not be for him to spend much time in Asia. So this is the perfect of krino, to judge, for he has judged, for Paul has judged, could be pluperfect, because that epsilon iota. Yes, I did a quick check. It is a pluperfect. That epsilon iota is the key. For Paul had judged, he had decided to sail past Ephesus. So this is aorist because of the sigma alpha. It's an infinitive because of the I. To sail past Ephesus, in order that, this introduces a purpose clause. I expect a subjunctive verb to be coming. Subjunctive is coming, subjunctive is coming. And indeed, there it is right there. The key to the form being subjunctive is the fried vowel before the ending. So this is aorist because the gen, middle deponent because tie is a middle ending, subjunctive because the fried vowel from ginomai, third person singular. So in order that it might not be to him to spend much time in Asia. This again, sigma alpha is aorist and sigma alpha iota is aorist active infinitive. For he was in a hurry. This is, I think this is imperfect, spudo. For he was in a hurry. If possible, it might be for him to come into Jerusalem the day of Pentecost, by the day of Pentecost. This, by the way, is optative, the optative of me, if it might be possible, if it would be possible. Potential optative, conditional clause here. I guess this is imperfect. So if it would be possible for him the day of Pentecost, by the day of Pentecost, to come into Jerusalem, aorist infinitive of ginomai. Okay, well, there is the Greek of our verses for today, Acts 20, 7 through 16. Paul's making his way down the coast of Ephesus. So in today's reading, he's gone from Troas to Assos to Mytilene, across Chios to Samos, past Ephesus, down to Miletus. And so in tomorrow's reading, they're going to come down from Ephesus to Miletus. He's not going to stop in Ephesus. I think maybe he wasn't welcome in the city, but that's my opinion. Well, on we go.